2025 was not a normal year in real estate. Prices did not crash, but they did not explode either. Buyers, or most buyers, were scared. Some sellers were completely confused, and a lot of people just sat in the sidelines waiting. So in this video, I'm going to break down actually what happened in the GTA real estate market in 2025, why it happened, and most importantly, what this means for you going into 2026. If you're new here, my name is Clement. I'm a real estate broker here in the Greater Toronto area. I work with buyers, sellers, and homeowners every single day. And in this channel, it's about helping you actually understand what's going on in the market so that you can be able to make better decisions moving forward. So let's get into this year's review. Let us start with the big picture. 2025 was a cool down year. The market went from running to walking. In the GTA, prices came down and the sales, they slowed down tremendously, and homes took a far much longer time to sell. That does not mean real estate was broken. It only means that the market was really resetting. And the first thing, let us talk about interest rates. Basically, interest rates are the price of borrowing money. When rates go up, borrowing gets a lot more expensive. And when there's fewer people buying, borrowing gets cheaper and more people can afford payments, the monthly payments. You can see that at the end of 2024, the Bank of Canada was around 3.25%. By the end of 2025, it dropped to about 2.25%. That is a full 1% drop in 1 year. So mortgage rates completely followed this whole step. And this right here helped a lot of buyers, but it did not magically fix everything because prices in the GTA was still very high. Lower rates help monthly payments, as I've just said, but if prices stay high, people hesitate. So buyers came back to the market a lot more slowly, not all at once like we saw in other markets in 23 or even 2022. So now let's just talk about the numbers. In 2024, the average GTA home price was about $1.13 million. In 2025, the average price dropped to about $1,040,000. That is roughly about 6.5% of a decline year over year. The sales of homes was also much slower. In 2024, homes sold for about 29 days on average, so you can say 30 days. In 2025, that jumped to about 45 to 55 days, depending on the area that you're in. Now, buyers finally had something they have not had for years, and that is time. Time to think, time to negotiate, time to say no. And for sellers, let's face it, this was completely uncomfortable for a lot of sellers. Many sellers were still pricing their homes like it was 2021, 2022, let's say even 2023, but the market had already moved on. Now, even within the GTA, not every city performed the same in 2025. Some cities held up much better and some struggled completely. When we look at Durham region, the average price in 2024 was about $890,000. And in 2025, it increased to about $905,000. That is roughly 1.7% of an increase. Given the state of the market, Durham was one of the areas that actually did pretty well. Now, the other area that did fairly well was Peel region because the average price in 2024 was about $1,010,000, and in 2025 it moved to about $1,020,000, roughly 1% of an increase there. When we look at another area, this is Halton region. The average price in 2024 was about $1,180,000. In 2025, this increased by around $1,195,000. So this is about $1.3 million of an increase. So this area is held up better because prices were more balanced and buyers could still move and find what kind of property they're looking for because the neighborhoods are really good over here. Now, let us talk about the areas that struggled really hard in 2025. And the first area, maybe not a surprise to a lot of you, is Toronto. The average price in 2024 was about $1,130,000. And in 2025, it dropped to about $1,055,000. And this is a 6.6% decline. The other area is York region. In 2024, the average price was about $1,124,000. When you look at it in 2025, it dropped to about $1,145,000. This is roughly a 7.7% decline. In York region, I'm talking about Vaughan, Richmond Hill, Markham, Newmarket, Aurora. These areas in 2025, they struggled a little bit, even though the neighborhoods are very good. So if you are in this pocket, you'll see that you had a really hard time selling your properties. You'll see a lot of your neighbors' homes are sitting in the market for a much, much longer time. Now, the other area is Hamilton. The average price in 2024 was about $840,000. And in 2025, it fell to about $755,000. This is a 10% decline. This is the most decline we saw in the GTA, really. In Hamilton, this shocked a lot of buyers, a lot of homeowners in Hamilton. This really hit them. I had some clients that I was dealing with out there that they were expecting their home to sell for close to $1 million, 1.2. And when I'm doing the price point for them, or I'm doing the comparable market analysis for them, I was letting them know that the value is going down to about 850. And it was shocking a lot of people. So I know from experience, Hamilton going into that Niagara area as well, it got hit the hardest coming into this market. I know some of you might think Brampton, but I would say Hamilton was hit very, very hard. So now here's the takeaway. The more expensive the area, the more pressure it felt. This is why saying the GTA market as one thing is completely misleading, because buyers are very cautious. They asked more questions. They negotiated harder. They walked away a whole lot more often than I've ever experienced in my career. And honestly, this is healthy. Buying a home should not feel like panic shopping. The buyer who did well in 2025 were prepared. They were patient and were very, very realistic going into the market. Now, what sellers experienced in 2025? For a lot of sellers in 2025, I would like to say this is a wake-up call for a lot of sellers. Overpricing did not work. Bad presentations did not work at all. Testing the market did not work either. The sellers who sold a lot more successfully priced correctly, and they were very well prepared. They prepared the property the right way, and they listened to what the market was saying. The ones who did not listen to the market, the proof is in the pudding, really. They stayed in the market for a far much longer time than really what the market asks for. So if you're sitting in the market for more than that 55, 60 days, you're not listening to the market as a seller. And this was happening a lot in 2025. So just have this understanding going into 2026 and readjust accordingly. Now, I want to really slow this down a little bit here and make it slightly personal, because 2025 was a tough year for a lot of real estate agents, to be honest. But most importantly, it was a tough year for the people. I dealt with a lot more emotional situations this year, more than I've ever dealt with before. Some of the clients that came through, some through referrals or some through past clients, they were going through divorces. I've dealt with a lot more divorce clients than I've ever dealt in my whole career. Some clients were stuck in some pre-construction deals that were not closing as planned, as we had it planned initially, and the market hit completely different. And also another thing that I experienced were some buyers who just got scared and backed out because of so much uncertainty. You know, you leave a very good opportunity on the table because you just, even if you're very well prepared, even if everything was set up very well, this year I felt a lot of buyers, the cautiousness really got them afraid to take action, and it's okay. Then when you look at sellers, those sellers who wanted to sell because of pressure, but I had to be honest and tell them it was not the right time to sell. There was a lot of fear this year, guys, and a lot of issues, but I stayed with my clients because now we're not setting them up properly for 2026. So decisions are made with clarity and not panic. And this leads me into 2026. Let's talk about it. Very simply, there'll be no crash, no explosion. Most forecasts are showing that prices are going into that -3% to that 2% depending on the area that you're in. And what that really means is there's stable movement. It's not chaotic, especially here in the GTA. So what does this mean for you as a buyer going into 2026? This means there could be a real opportunity. You still have options. You still have the power to negotiate. Trying to time the market perfectly rarely works. What actually works is being smart and how you approach the opportunities that come in front of you. So for buyers going into 2026, really just put yourself in the position to be ready when an opportunity pounces in. As a seller, how you look at your micro market, how you look at the leverage of what's going on in your area will help you tremendously in 2026. I also want to add this here. Every January, I do an equity update for all my past clients. I run a full comparable market analysis on their homes. I show them what their property is worth, how much equity they've actually accumulated, or how much the property has declined given the market that we're in. And we plan properly for the year 2026 or even 2027, 2028, depending on your timing. So I'm going to open it to any homeowner in the GTA. If you own a home and you want to know where you stand or want to plan property for 2026, just go ahead and click the link in the description or one of the pinned comments that you'll see. Select a seller, put in your information, and I will personally send you your equity update according to the information you gave me. So now if you've watched this and you're wondering, how does this apply to your situation? This is exactly why I make these videos. You can reach out to me, or you could see on my link, I have a buyer guide in there. I have a seller guide. You can go through it at your own time. And whenever you feel ready to have a conversation with somebody like myself, there's no pressure. You can just select a time that's best preferable for you, and we'll get into a call, or we can get into a Zoom consultation if that's what you need as well. Until next time, see you in the next one.